Peace, everybody. Welcome back. We are here at episode 2 of the Art for Evolution podcast. We are very excited. We got through our first episode. As I stated in the first episode, the Art for Evolution platform is dedicated to being a source for visual artists, being a voice to visual artists, and just serving as the platform to the visual arts community. We're here to promote culture. We're here to have dialogue, and we're here to promote art for evolution. Today I have a very, very, very special guest. This is actually a good friend of mine. He goes by the name of B. Lynn. His name is Blake Lenoir. Okay, let's put some respect on this guy's name. This guy is a 30 for 30 honoree. We're going to get into that. He will be showing some work at Art Basel coming up pretty soon. He has a series out now, Conduit 2. It's part of an ongoing series. We're definitely going to get into that. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Blake Lenoir.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Hope, this is beneficial for everybody.
Yes.
I love art, and I'm here to talk about it. So let's do it.
Let's do it. So I don't want to leave anything out. So, I also want you to just kind of explain, just a little bit more about your art background and kind of where you are at now.
Okay, well, as far as painting, I literally have been painting since November of 2017. So this is going into my third year of painting. I've been drawing since I was 2 years old. My mom recognized that I was very detail-oriented as a kid. I tried to draw every feather on the duck while drawing the duck. And she was like, yeah, okay, let me get him some pen and paper, some crayons, something. Keep him busy. And at first it started off as just like more of a coping mechanism because I had like social anxiety. Then it became just my thing. It became my passion. And what got me into painting, I kind of tried to force myself into different arenas of the workplace after graduating college, and it just wasn't panning out. I just couldn't get myself to fully diverge into that as my passion or as something I really wanted to do. So I was like, let me just try something different, because I kept putting off painting like my whole life. Like literally kept putting it off, like I don't want to do it. I just want to draw and leave it at that. Just give me a pencil or a pen, I'm good. And surely enough, as soon as I picked up a paintbrush, my brain just exploded like, boy, what have you been avoiding this for your whole life? Like, this is your blessing in disguise, literally.
What age did you realize this?
At 25.
Okay.
26. No, 26.
26.
Yeah.
Okay. That goes to show the people that, no matter how old you are, if you got something inside you, you can always tap into that.
Literally. Like, as soon as I tapped into it, life happened. It just all was like, oh, this is where you're supposed to be. I kept trying to show you, stop trying to walk in these doors that was locked. And you found your yes door and stay in there.
Excellent, man. I love to hear that. Something that I noticed on your page, you have a specific term that you like to utilize art for conversational healing.
Yes.
So what inspired you and made you realize that art could be a medium for conversational healing?
Well, I like to say that while I'm painting, I'm having conversations with the painting, because I'm painting off the top of my head, like from subconscious thoughts to conscious thoughts to things that I'm thinking about every single day. And it's just kind of like having that conversation, like somebody else is going through this, and I want them to see it and recognize that as well, and recognize that they need to address it just like I need to address it. So the conversational healing comes with the aspect of, it's easier to talk to, just think in your head, but to actually talk it out with somebody, there's a healing aspect to it, because you have somebody that you feel is like listening and cares about hearing you. So I want to provide that with my art for people to be able to take that into their home. Like, I overcame this obstacle, and this conversation I had with this painting, or even through just his artistry in general, made me take a different approach to healing myself in that.
I love that. One thing personally, like when I go to shows and go to different exhibits, it's the pieces there, really provide that platform for the stranger next to you to just start some dialogue, and you guys, start going into, personal things, and art really is that transformative tool that allows you to dive into some of these topics that you probably wouldn't have, otherwise.
Absolutely, because even as a kid, like when I was just sitting in the corners drawing by myself, it was because I didn't feel comfortable enough to voice my opinion or to actually speak on what I was actually feeling. So I was like, I'm just think about it and I'm just draw until it come out or whatever I do. And even now, I kind of do that myself still, but I try to make more of a conscious effort to speak on things that I truly feel. And if it helps me painting about it or speaking about it, however I got to express it, I'm getting it out. Because I know it's healthier mentally for me. And just socially, it's better.
Yeah.
Like, it's always somebody that's going through something similar to you. And if you reach out, you don't know, you might change their perspective or change their day. You might give them the best experience they ever had.
Change their life.
Literally.
Yeah.
You might say something that sparks a whole change in that person. Just like they might say the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, even like music has that power. Like, there's definitely been time periods where I might have been going through something and a song, just hearing them talk about it, made me understand it was outside of just me, and that literally brought me out of the situation.
Exactly. It's bigger than you all the time.
Yeah.
It's never just about you. It can be for you internally, but all of this is for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of want to paint from that standpoint and that viewpoint.
I like that. So, I've been following you for a while, and I've noticed, your different styles and different techniques, like, over time. There was a time period when, I was in your home and we was looking at a lot of your pieces. It was very reminiscent of, like, Basquiat and his work, and, some of the techniques and how he was placing, certain type of things, marking words out, things of that nature. Then I noticed that you have pieces reminiscent of George Condo,
Yes,
this surrealist kind of landscape. So, with kind of like dabbling in, different forms that other artists have used, is that like, what was your thinking behind that?
Well, I can definitely say for me, primarily, Basquiat was one of my first early influences to start painting, primarily because I identify with his story as to how he came to surface, where it was kind of just like, I'm just doing what I'm going to do, and if you see me, you see me, and no, you gonna see me. It's not a if. You gonna see me. I'm just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna remain constant and just be consistent with what I'm doing. And just coming from his viewpoint of, I'm not doing nothing else other than my passion. Like, you can tune all the other noise out. I'm painting. I'm doing something that makes me happy. I'm happy. I don't need all this extra stuff. Like, it's great, if it comes with it, but this is what I'm doing. But from that's what I took from him. And the freedom of expression, because I was such a tedious drawer. Like how I paint now is how I used to draw. Like, it was just like, okay, everything was like, and for him, it kind of gave me that freedom. Like, just let it go. Like, just do what you're going to do and let it form itself. And that's how I started. Like, that's the origination of, like, my process, the first process. So that was, like, one of those turning points for me as a creator in general, just seeing somebody be that free to express, and where a mess can turn literally into something beautiful. And I didn't have respect for that at first as an artist. Like, even being in college as an art major, I would, like, completely shit on people that were abstract artists. Like, this is not art. Like,
Yeah.
it's there. What skill set do you need to throw paint on a canvas?
Right.
Literally. But there's a beauty in that process,
right.
and there's definitely a skill in even doing that where it makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to the viewers that might also feel this way, I think that's kind of like a taboo thing in art. Like, you look at a painting and it's like, well, I could do that. It's just looks
But you
like
didn't.
Right, but you didn't. And then also, how can someone come to appreciate that form of art, like abstract work?
First, just enjoying the colors, just in taking it in for what it is at first, and then identifying ways that you can identify with it, like finding things in it, like just really paying attention, like to the fine points of the piece. Even the name might give you the biggest hint as to what's going on.
Yeah.
So the colors, realizing that colors aren't universally translated. That's another thing I had to learn. Like, blue isn't sad for everybody, red isn't everybody's vibrant color. Like, to me, red is the most beautiful, powerful. But to somebody else, that's like, I'm angry. I want to do this. I want to do that. That makes me, feel like this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, recognizing that this piece can mean something completely different to anybody that walks up to it, which makes it even more beautiful to me.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first things that kind of, made me more appreciative of that discipline.
Yeah, I think I started to appreciate abstract art when I got out of trying to conceptualize it and looking at it and just trying to understand how it made me feel.
Exactly.
And not understand, but just feeling it and just being with it and aesthetically appreciating like symmetry, composition, and how lines and colors play off of each other and just how it makes you feel.
And just appreciating the patience to look at something that's literally layer after layer. It might be like 15, 20 layers of paint on this thing, but all you see is how all the colors are splattered everywhere. But you don't know that this was a blank canvas at first, and it took some time for this to build up this way.
Right.
And some real like calculation.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite abstract artist is definitely Mark Rothko.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
He's one of those guys that layer after layer after layer, and, and you might only see two colors.
Right.
There was so many steps to get to those two colors or that gradient that he provides that you just get blown away if you see his process.
Yeah, he speaks to how he wants his pieces to be transcendental. For the viewer that's looking at it, you kind of go into like a trance-like space, and you might begin to receive messages and stuff like that. So I think that's really like the evolutionary way to use your art as well. And it's very basic or simple, but it actually kicks into the subconscious areas of your mind and allows you to explore in that way. So I think that's dope. And I also noticed like you like to utilize George Condo's style. So what was your inspiration with that?
So during that time period, I was in essence kind of having a little mental trauma with just being very panicky about where I was going with my art. Because at first I was like, the Basquiat thing was cool, but this ain't me, and I don't know how much more I can apply that process to my work. I did know that I was appropriating his style, but it was also me getting comfortable with the medium. So once it allowed me to feel more comfortable and confident with the medium, I was like, okay, now I gotta get this off my head the way that I'm feeling right now. So I was like, I listened to my Twisted Dark Fantasy literally the day of, right before I started painting it, and I was like,
so explain the context of that. So George Condo is he was
the creative director for the artwork of the album artwork of that album. So listening to that album, I'm like, this is how like some of the songs kind of hit on how I felt. And then I was like, let me see what this is even called, like this stylization. It kind of reminded me of like Picasso, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's something different. So I looked it up and it was Cubism still. I was like, And then the idea behind Cubism is to create like a three-dimensional shape.
Yeah.
But blend them, like so to say, for lack of a better word. And I was like, that's kind of how my mind is kind of feeling, like I'm sectoring off, blocking off, and creating new rooms in my mind to be a creator.
Yeah.
So and I was like, but how do I apply that to the message that I'm trying to convert into a painting?
Yeah.
And I just freestyled the first one, which was I can't give you an image of it right now, but
right,
was the first piece, and I was like, No, actually, I did a drawing first to see if I could even do it. So I did a drawing of an exact replica of one of his pieces, and I was like, yeah, this is the twisted imagery that I'm kind of like feeling, not seeing in my head, but feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a way to convey it. So I kept trialing it, and I was like, okay, I think I got it. And I converted it into my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So not in essence copying him verbatim, but using his style of expression to convey my thought process.
Right.
So using him as like a tutor, again, to get more comfortable with the medium, utilizing different processes of blending colors, just using color in a different way instead of just splattering it, like being more controlled. Like, okay, but this yellow goes with this blue, and I can kind of intersect it in between and kind of give it a gradient and do, applying all those different techniques that I've learned with other mediums, but to do it with paint, I was like, I'm gonna just keep turning this shit brown if I keep doing that. Like,
yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's and it taught me to be more patient. So it was more of my patient series. And then after that, it was kind of like, okay, I'm done with this too. because I don't want people to keep saying this remind me of Kondo, because
Right.
in the art world, learning that, like going to Basel the first time and just hearing people say that constantly, and hearing from an older artist, he was like, it's great, like your work is beautiful, but I just want you to know, for you to take this next step, you can't, in essence, give this much credit to another artist in the regard that you're trying to go to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I get that. And I took that to heart at first, because I was like, what you mean? Like, you don't like my stuff? Because, like, it's me. And then I had to self-check and like, wait, you do know this is the beginning of your process. Be honest with yourself. Like, at first, I called it Conduit because it was Kondo and me. So Kondo,
Interesting.
yeah, Kondo it, like Kondo it. I was wanting to spell it like that at first,
Wow.
but I was like, no, I'm using this as a conduit of my expression.
Yeah.
But then it flipped, the meaning of the series flipped when I started like speaking my expressions into the canvas authentically. When I utilized the children the way that I use them, when I utilized everything in that series after those first sets of pieces.
Yeah.
So I was just like, huh. Thank you. And Gerald Griffin is the artist that I'm referring to, one of the big dogs here in Chicago. So once he had that talk with me, I was like, and I can respect his opinion because he's doing exactly where I'm trying to, he's revered the way that I want to be revered.
Yeah.
And I want to, kind of
Well,
capitalize on that opportunity.
I gotta, shout you out for having the courage to do that, because I think that in a field like this, why not utilize something that is known to just garner some attention towards yourself?
But Picasso even said it himself. The great artists borrow, but the best ones steal.
Still like an artist.
Yeah.
I actually have that book, and it speaks about the process of, taking other people's art to garner your own style. And that's the process. I used to make beats. So in that process, like back when I was making beats, I was stealing from Lil Jon. I was stealing from not Heat Makers back then, but Shawty Red, Pharrell, Timbaland, and just literally recreating their beats. So once I did that, I was like, oh man, I got it. This sounds dope. Then I started making beats in the style of, but in that process, you'll learn like, okay, that's dope, but I can make the drum set like this,
Exactly.
and that's just the process for anybody who's trying to be a creative and trying to develop their artistry. So I think it's a smart move. Also, you spoke about the style that George Condo used is Cubism. We're going to get into the origins. Where did Cubism come from?
Exactly.
It didn't come from Picasso.
Oh, I know.
Where did it come from?
African masks. So it actually originated when Picasso and some of his contemporaries, they had ventured to Africa and saw African masks and were like, I like that contortion of how that face is. Or I like how they elongated this, or how they added this dimension to a face. And it's not a perfectly symmetrical face, but it makes me feel this type of way. And it became a whole stylization. So also, funny you said that. I was gonna leave that out, but you said it.
No.
But
This is what this podcast is for.
I actually did it the way I juxtaposed the pieces that I did that featured the children that I put in. I juxtaposed them to the left, the kids to the left, to kind of give a portrait feeling, whereas the beauty of my work originally was to the right, and to the left was something that they stole. So it was more so in restitution, which is why you would see kind of the pieces that embody that are being, in essence, violent towards that stylization. Kind of like give us our shit back.
Right. Wow.
Like y'all got rich off us, and we can't even break into the world.
Right. Whew.
And that's why I put the black backgrounds, which for everybody watching and listening to this, the black backgrounds are because everything starts with black.
Right.
And everything brightens or turns into something else off of black. So to be off-white is just, okay, it's off-white. Like Virgil, the blue,
Yeah.
off-white. Mine is off-black.
Right. Whew. That's powerful. Because, in essence, black is a culmination of everything.
Exactly, and the beauty in the darkness. That's where I'm coming from. It's not always dark themed just because there's beauty in the darkness.
Yeah.
Like we come from the dark. We come from the dirt. We come from the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And we still find a way to be resilient.
Yeah.
So why can't my work start with black? and find his way to still be beautiful. It's still going to be highlighted in your home. It's still going to be a conversational piece. It's still going to be considered very luxurious and regal. When people see it, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, who did, like, this an old piece, ain't it? Like, nah, somebody 28 years old just did that.
Right.
Like, I want young black kids to see that somebody of their contemporary age can do something of this caliber.
Yeah.
So that's more of the reason why I kind of frame my work the way I frame it. It's the reason why I paint the way I do, from these old modern-esque or Baroque styles, or just the black and white in general. Just like, it's classic, but it's here. It's contemporary.
It's an ode to the original.
Exactly.
I think that's powerful, bro. I like that, because I didn't know that prior to this interview. That's a beautiful ode that you have attributed to our people, and to the original thing of color and where everything comes from. I think that makes your work even more powerful. Your work is also very reminiscent of the genre of surrealism.
Mm-hmm.
And, surrealism, it likes to emphasize the subconscious by kind of creating situations or scenarios that are ridiculous or just out of the ordinary circumstance. Y'all know, like, some of your figures, they don't have heads. Mm-hmm. So do you consider yourself a surrealist painter?
Yeah, I would say it's a different genre. I would say it's more of a propaganda surrealism. Propaganda contemporary surrealism, primarily because as a black man, these stories aren't surreal to me. These are my reality. So it's a surrealism to everyone not of us, or everyone not of color. So some of these, they be like, oh, that's a little much. Yeah, I lived it, and I'm still here, and I'm resilient through it all. And I appreciate y'all for loving my work, and that's what it is. But the surrealist aspect, I was a fan of that, is because I'm a big fan of anime, and just the context of how anime translates a lot of social issues that are still relevant now. They put, gold hair on top of it, you turn Super Saiyan, you do all kind of like power-ups and it's more, and I kind of conformed that, or kind of converted that into more of they're kind of hinting at a spiritual awakening, so to say.
Yeah. Where
you have the power that you can do whatever you want. And they telling you that, like, in the open. So in my surrealist approach, I want people to see that just because you see it this way doesn't mean it's always that way. Or that what people show you isn't always surface. Like, what you ingest isn't always surface value.
Yeah.
So even with how I distort faces, and when I use the cubism, it was because people will show you a smile in your face, or say they mean well, but in reality they're a whole ass monster and behind closed doors. Or they have completely alternate motives. So I kind of wanted to shine light upon that. But in this series, the reasoning for that was because they're absent out of their bodies, because their parents completely, like, everybody around them were doing things as if nobody was watching them.
Yeah.
So, and these became the businessmen of today, like our elders. And they remain resilient, even though the city behind them changed forever.
Yeah.
Like people refer to Bronzeville as, oh, Bronzeville used to be this, man. Exactly. It used to be, but why can't it still be? Why don't we just put that energy of used to be into what can be?
Yeah.
So they remained who they were. They still sat on that red carpet that they knew. They still sat on those Rolls Royces, and they made it happen, just like we did.
That's powerful. That's a powerful, piece right there. It's kind of that infamous piece. I think it was called
Sunday is Best.
Sunday's Best.
Robert Lee.
It depicted these young black men, before Easter or before church or something like that. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, I found out that they were in front of where the old Regal Theater used to be at. Mm-hmm. And the location where it is now on 79th, it actually used to be over here on like 47th King Drive.
Exactly. And I actually painted this. It was literally down the street.
Yeah.
Like literally down the street from here. And which was why, before I even knew that, I painted this piece in here. I was like, wait a minute. The odds, and I don't even know if you know this, my studio space, this place used to be a funeral home. So in essence, I was kind of spiritually tapping into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt.
Wow.
Because I literally painted it from the top left corner and down.
Yeah.
And it just flowed out. Like there was no hesitation about it. It was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's powerful. That's spooky. Okay, we're back, and I wanted to find out from you exactly, what Conduit is all about. What are these conversations that you want to start through this series?
So
From one and two.
So in each series, I utilize a focal point as a conduit of expression. So in the first conduit, which a conduit was conduit one, look inside the inner turmoils of a black millennial mind. I use the children as a conduit of honesty, because we would always, like I said, I just suppose the children to the left, the position the kids to the left, and the other things to the right, because in the photograph, it's actually it's flipped. So the kids are actually in the right, and due to the social, family constructs and all types of things that I talked about in that series, I wanted the kids to be seen as the conduit of honesty. Kids only express things without a filter. So for us to kind of manipulate their thought processes or their feelings and things like that with our adult thoughts that are filtered through a million different channels a day, because we code switch, we do all kind of things to change how we say things, or because we don't want to offend somebody, or because we can't say it in this space, we can't say it over here, we can't say it to this person. If a kid tell you, yeah, man, your booty stink, like, it's straight up. Like, you got a booger in your nose. They not lying. They see a booger in your nose. So for that unfiltered aspect of children, I completely respect them and want them to be able to speak that way more often, because they're the only ones that are ingesting everything unfiltered, like literally. Like their experiences are what they are, and either you change it for the better or you get out the way.
Yeah.
So in that series, that's kind of why I use the children. Well, I use the word conduit. In Conduit 2, A Ribbon in the Sky, the ribbon is used as a conduit to show that this is the allure of the cocaine 80s epidemic and how it affected everybody, not just the urban community, but everybody. And that ribbon flows through and is as an alluring as the Stevie Wonder song, A Ribbon in the Sky. So while you're, partaking in everything that you were doing during that time period, this ribbon was infiltrating through your neighborhoods, through your apartment, through the schools, through any and everything. And it was the ribbon that tied everybody all together.
Okay.
So that it was kind of gift wrapped for everybody to kind of join the train.
Okay. So this is why all of the pieces kind of have this ribbon around them. It's to signify that movement.
Yep.
That allure.
And also the resilience of us. So even though we came through all this, look at how beautiful we became. As silky as a ribbon, as vivid, as powerful, as passionate, all of that as a rare ribbon. But also, we're very delicate. We could be sensitive. We could be very forgiving. But at the same token, you don't want to fuck with us.
Right.
But we are the gift to the world, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's my aspect, my perspective.
You top it off with a bow.
Exactly. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I like that. I also want to touch on some of the, because we kind of spoke offline about the intergenerational themes that you were spoken. So can you expound on that a little bit?
Yes. So the first one was a look inside the inner turmoils of a black millennial mind, which was for the millennials, and then down to the cocaine AIDS epidemic with the Generation X, and how things went with them. And I will go even further in my next conduit, which would be, I don't know yet, but I might do it. I might wait another year or two to put that one out, just to give a little breathing room for the next series I have coming up right now. But it'll go back again to the baby boomers, and it'll keep going back until it's a full circle as to using those series to kind of unify and build that conversational healing between generations, because we could talk all day what millennials went through, but we know that they don't have an idea. They think we soft. They they have their own perspective of how we do things and how we cope with things and so on and so forth, but they don't realize the perspective in which they contributed to it. So that was the reason for Conduit 1. Conduit 2, the same. How they didn't realize that them partying and kicking it and doing stuff as if nobody was watching them kind of effed up Generation X to be the kind of, I don't want to say this in the worst way, but to be straightforward, the cowardice generation. The conformative, not cowardice, conformative generation. where everything was built around fitting everything else and not being us, and building on our culture
Now,
values.
when is Generation X? Is that
More like the 80s, 70s type crowd.
Okay.
Like, well, more 70s, like the 40, 50-year-olds type of deal.
okay? Okay, yeah. I mean, that's a huge conversation within our community. It's definitely a divide, and it's very obvious.
It's always the influx of, oh, y'all didn't do this because y'all young, or y'all didn't do this because y'all old as hell. Y'all don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And it's never well, if you don't know this and I don't know this, or just the opposite. I know this and you don't know this. Why can't you help me get to this point so I don't mess up like you messed up back then?
Right.
Versus I told you. It's always I told you so versus let me help you not make this mistake so that we can cut this cycle off.
Or, interestingly enough, something that we kind of deal with is that us millennials, we kind of are exposed to a lot more information these days.
And we were exposed to a lot of things earlier than a lot of most people.
Yeah.
And like, man, the stuff that we talked about in elementary school wouldn't even be heard of in some of today's elementary schools.
Yeah.
Like, I recognize that with my little sister who's 11 years old. Like, I'm just like, if you was at my school back when I was a kid, they would have thought you was goofy. Like, where you from? Like, what's wrong with you? You don't know that? Or you don't talk like this? Or you don't experience that? Like, it's all, and it's also a disposition that I held it to a degree. It's even coming back full circle to me looking down at their generation.
Yeah.
So, me recognizing that, I want to nip it in the butt and have a way to kind of not force, but enable us to hold hands instead of always pointing the finger like y'all didn't do this and this is why we like no. Let's change this. Let's change this whole dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think like a prevalent thing that happens is like the people of like Generation X or older than that, more specifically older than that, typically they look at millennials and like what we're doing. For example, a lot of millennials are starting to understand our power and being able to make our own decisions as far as like what we want to do in life, just because we've been exposed to the possibilities, and because they didn't have that type of access due to the lack of technology, there's a lot of misunderstanding and there's a lot of really fight. And it looks like we're put in a position to have to really create the change to better the younger generations because we have the tools, we have the information, and these conversations do need to take place.
Because the sooner that they get to understand us more, the sooner they can allow us a little bit more leeway to make more changes. Because they still hold the keys to a lot of the stuff at the top.
Yeah.
So it's like until y'all change y'all mentality a little bit to like we can do more now. Everything doesn't have to be revolved around this little ballpark that y'all worked it. Y'all did what y'all could do, and y'all did great. We appreciate all that y'all sacrificed for us to get to this point. But it's a new era now, and we have different ways of navigating things. And it could always be a reach one, teach one, or each one teach one, versus no, I've been doing this for 50 years. You're going to have to you got to do it as long as me to get to this point. Why can't you pull me to your point or to your status now? That makes us more progressive as a people if we can get somewhere sooner. If we don't have to put in 30 years, like, perfect example, I'm a perfect example of that. I only been painting for 3 years, and I put out a product like I've been doing it for 50 or 30 years, and I haven't lived that long. And I'm not in competition with older artists. I don't discredit any older artists. I appreciate that y'all have stuck through the fight to make it accessible for me to break in. Like, y'all been kicking at the door for years, and I was that last kick. I was like, we in this bitch.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, it's so many opportunities can go both ways.
Yeah.
Because the sooner that they engage with us, the sooner we can put y'all on. Come on. I already know how to do that, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because some of the old techniques are still very relevant to breaking into these arenas that we haven't been in yet.
That's
but
a
until
fact.
we share those keys, ain't nobody going in.
That's a fact. Nobody wins when the family feuds.
Exactly.
And speaking of family, man, congratulations. I see that you are expanding the empire.
Yes, sir.
You're having a child soon.
Yes, sir. In February. No, I'm talking about February. April of 2020.
April of 2020. 2020 vision.
Yeah. And that's what I got right now.
Yeah.
Getting everything in line so that when they get here, I don't have none of these issues, or I can have these talks with them fluidly
Yeah.
and bring them up without that harsh in between, that harsh thought process of, just, is somebody actually gonna help me, or do I gotta figure everything out? Like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
Whatever I know, you know, and as soon as I can give it to you.
That's love. I want to touch on this aspect of the starving artist.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a cliche association
But it's
with
so damn true.
those of us who are creatives, those of us who have a passion to make things.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that this society is not set up for people like that to win, or at least it's not encouraged as much as it is to get a job or work for someone else. So I just want you to maybe talk about as an artist, someone who does this full time. How have you been able to sustain yourself financially?
So primarily, I'll go back on the statement of starving artist. It's not necessarily a starving artist because your creating fuels you. Your creating feeds you. It feeds your passion. It feeds your intellect. It feeds your umph to get up another day. So for me to create, that's like that's payment already to be able to do what I want to do for a living, like full time. As a monetary investment, I would say it's definitely troubling. It can be, but those trials become wins when those hours that you put in pay off. So in between paint checks, and I do what I got to do.
Yeah.
So whether that be bartending, painting walls, whatever. I mean, even if I got to get another day job, it's in the cards. Like with a kid on the way, with just day-to-day finances, you need money to survive.
Right.
So as an artist full time, you got to just do what you got to do. That's all I got to say. Really, like you make your way and you make your time to create. And whatever balance that leaves you, if that leaves you in too far either way, because you can get lost in your creation and end up hungry, or you can get lost in your job and lose everything that you were creating. So, and I had to find that comfortable medium because that's kind of where I was right before I started painting. I was like, yeah, I don't like this job, but I'm gonna just paint, and I'm not gonna try to do nothing else, or I'm gonna try to paint while I work this full-time job, 40 plus hours a week. And I don't feel like painting for real after that. It's more of a chore. It's like, I know I got to paint because I got to do this event this weekend, but versus a job where you can kind of pick your hours. So more of those like bartending, really like bartending and things that you can choose your own hours are the best jobs for the entrepreneur artist, or just being using your creation in other aspects. Yeah. So teaching instructing classes. You can do, of course there's commission work, but that doesn't come every day. So for me, it was really big on just, having the humility to sit down and have that conversation with myself. Like, you're a creator. This is your bread and butter, but now you need something to put food on the table. Mm-hmm. So, break down your ego, throw that away, throw a rock at it, kill it real quick, because you got to do what you got to do. And whether that's creating your own lane, creating a store of some sort, serving tables, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And that was the biggest, thing that I had to face, because it was more of I done had $25 an hour paying jobs. I done had this and that. I'm not used to only making this amount, but it's like, is that worth your happiness though? Because if you could, I could make a living. I could make $50 a year and just keep doing this same day job and have no satisfaction whatsoever building upon that. Or I can, let my ego go and allow myself to meet new people, create new opportunities. I can just really allow myself to become with the people and view things from that viewpoint. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things that I kind of picked up on that. Like I allowed my art to create an opportunity for me. Like I became the gallery assistant of the studio space that I have. The gallery's right upstairs. And I'm an intern with the guy that owns the gallery and pretty much a lot of the real estate in Bronzeville. And he's kind of showing me the ropes through the channels that he came through, because he's been an entrepreneur since he was 17. And now he has 9 businesses. He owns the Peaches from 40,
What's his
47. His name is Cliff Rome.
Okay.
Chef Cliff Rome, one of the greatest guys I know.
Wow.
He believed in me, and actually I came here 2 years ago starting as a starting out artist.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show him my work because one of my collectors is a friend of his. He was like, I need you to meet him. Like, I think you guys, work well together.
Yeah.
And I showed him my work, and I kind of gave him my rap about why I do what I do, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna check you out. We gonna talk. And surely after I, built myself up a little bit more, he was like, I like what you're doing. This not no quick money. This not no quick thing for you. This is your passion, and I believe in it. So, they gave me the space. They gave me my first ever gallery exhibition, and it was my first ever solo exhibition in the gallery. So I was like, that alone, I was like, man, like this is what I mean, like bridging those gaps between generations and pulling each other up.
Yeah.
And the only thing that he asked of me in return is make sure you provide that opportunity for somebody else when you can.
Right.
And I think about that all the time.
That's the key right there. Before we, derail off of that, you mentioned investing into the space, like investing into your art. So it's like, I want to do art, but I'm trying to look for a job. That doesn't make sense. If you want to do art, find a way to make money within art. So that's what you did. You found that internship. You got with somebody within the industry who was able to create an opportunity. And that's a lot of advice that I would give as well. Be very specific and intentional about, what you want to do. Your way of making money should, contribute towards the goal that you're trying to accomplish.
Don't just do something. Do something that aligns with where you're trying to go.
Exactly. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to, do some
Just
random
get a job. Exactly.
bag groceries and you're trying to be an actor. I mean, find something that you could do to put you closer to acting. For me personally, like I, create things and I have products. So I'm like, what would be smart for me would be to get like a marketing type of job. And that way I can, not only learn marketing on a professional level and get paid, and I'll be able to apply these techniques in my own practice. So, we just got to play this game or we create the game. I'm encouraging people not to play the game anymore, but to create the game to work best for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because these are all things that you can kind of build your mission around.
Yeah.
You like, okay, I want to be top tier artist. What's the first step? Well, first, what do I want to do with my art? Like, how do I want to paint? Or what medium do I want to use? Does it convey this message that I'm trying to get out? How do I fund this?
Right.
How do I fund this and contribute towards my skill set?
Yeah.
So me, like the fact that I work at the restaurant on 47th, it allows me to speak with multiple types of people on a daily basis, and I never know who they are until I see them. Until I come out them doors with the plates. Okay. And it allows me to be able to converse and get more comfortable with talking with a diverse cast of people.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest thing in art. Like, if you can only talk to one type of person, chances are it's going to be hard to really make a sale. But when you can really bring yourself down to earth and be able to be with any type of people and at any type of event, at any type of venue, any type of caliber of crowd, if you can make yourself personable to anybody, that's the biggest thing in the world as a creator in general, because you want your work to be felt by everybody.
Yeah, that's big. Okay, so I want to move into a topic that, I know you could definitely speak to, the gallery. The gallery in itself, for the longest, it has been a space where artists can show their work and for people to come and be in this space and, really understand the inner workings of the artist by seeing their pieces collectively together. But, we're in a generation with the advent of the internet. And we're in a space where, there's art auctions online and, Shopify, stores and different ways to sell your art that actually don't require you to be in person. So, with all that happening, how is this affecting the art world? And, is the gallery still an important piece to the art world?
The gallery, depending, I'm gonna break it down. So, the top tier galleries like the Gagosians, the Tates, the Frieze, those types of places are always gonna be
Not going anywhere.
yeah, they're not going nowhere. The art institutes, those are what they are.
Yeah.
So to show there will always bring you a plethora of opportunities. It'll bring out it allows a different conversation for your art.
Yeah.
So galleries in general, though, is still very, very necessary because of the in-person aspect of seeing art. Like you see pictures on the internet, you'll scroll right past it, but for a piece to see at its scale, at whatever scale that is created at, to really receive it the way that it was intended to be received, is no experience you can translate into the internet. Like I can look at some of my pieces online and be like, okay. Like even if I didn't paint it, I'll look at it and be like, okay. But to see it in person, like the framing, the textures, like all of that is not translated through a camera screen. So for that aspect, if I was a person spending $100,000 on a piece, it's not coming off the internet. I'm going to see it in person. I want to see all the nicks and dings on it. I want to see all the types of textures, the real blending of the color. I want to see all of that just as a purist of appreciation of art. Now, as on a marketing scale, I wouldn't say it's completely necessary because there's people that blow up and never show at a gallery. But those people are more advantageous and adventurous in creating what's the word I'm looking for? Art experiences.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
So installation art, that's what I mean. So people like Hebrew, guys like Edo here in Chicago, Barrett, B. Kesey here in Chicago, like they create cultural, like art experiences where you're not just seeing paintings on the wall, but you're also feeling like you're walking into another world where it's like, oh, I'm one of the characters in this.
Yeah.
And like, this is, okay, so this is what it's about. I feel it, I see it, I'm in it, and it creates a whole new dynamic. So that alone, the do-it-yourself aspect of art has blown up.
Yeah.
Because you got like Happy Place, you got like Hebrew's new spot where it's like, so it's completely necessary still, but there's also other ways to go about it. So as a painter, it's a 70-30 to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like 30% of opportunities come outside of the gallery.
Yeah. I mean, I think the gallery space is and will always be important.
Yeah. It's an intimate setting. Like, there's nothing better than an intimate setting while you're looking and ingesting art where you can really conversate and there's other like-minded people around you, so you're not guessing on who's looking at it. You know what they're looking at.
Yeah, I think it's important to our culture,
exactly.
To have that space of communion. And also, things that I've done is I want to create more of an art culture because I think that the culture is kind of been pretentious, kind of whitewashed culture. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I see an opportunity. Like, to me, I think art is like dope. Like, I think it's amazing, and I think that artists should be just as like relevant to conversation as rappers.
Yeah.
And I want to create art stars. They're already art stars, mm-hmm. but they're art stars within that world. I think artists should be as big as Jay-Z, Puff Daddy. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly how I feel. Like, to a T. Primarily because who creates the album art?
Right.
Who creates? Who's the people taking their photos and giving you these expressions on the album covers that make you want to buy the album?
Right.
Or who's the inspiration as to what they saw to create some of these songs?
Yeah.
Or even the name of the song, like just that aspect of the artistry should be more put out there.
Yeah.
Because if you never find out, like of course the person got paid and all but you don't know their face. Like you couldn't tell me you couldn't off face tell me who published Jay-Z's Watch the Throne. Jay-Z and Kanye's Watch the Throne.
Right.
Like, it's dope. Who created it, though? Some name over here. But Jay-Z and Kanye all over the front. Like, yeah, I'm in here.
Yeah.
But they just made the songs.
Right.
So what's the divide of the artistry? Why isn't there more appreciation for the tangible art versus the airway art?
Yeah. And that, artists are thought leaders. I feel like the shows and stuff that you guys produce, I mean, this is revolutionary thought that you're bringing to the world. It's kind of like a new album dropping or something like that, and it's gonna sit with you. The themes from that album, it sits with you, for a while till you get tired of the album. I feel like a show should be that experience that sit with you, and
And it never
is
gets
able
tired.
to tour, and it never gets tired. For me, I'm a big rap guy, but recently I just haven't been inspired by rap and music, and art is something that I always get inspiration. Any gallery, museum I step into, I can, travel and be transported in the mind through new ideas, and I think that's dope. It's something that I want to share with the world. The black experience of going to art and kind of how we feel, and I just want people to see more people that look like us
Exactly.
going to these galleries and making it the cool thing to do, making it the norm.
Yeah. And ironically, you said that about the music. I myself have turned away from rap a lot,
Yeah.
primarily because to hear nothing but constant negative, like back to back, everything is about negative, something negative.
Nothingness,
And we've in essence adopted that as this is us, and I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not violent. I don't want to shoot no damn body.
Right.
I ain't.
And they say that's the culture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's like
that's
how is that the
that
culture?
ain't me, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm light skinned, but that ain't, again, the colorism, all of that, those different layers to what divides us.
Yeah.
Like our culture is everything that divides us, which I don't agree with. Like that's what is attached to us, though. Like that's what we've enabled and allowed to be attached to us as well. We portray it all throughout the music. Like if you're not ignorant as fuck, you're not getting played on the airway. That's basically what they tell us.
Yeah.
And if you make sense,
It's like they want to keep selling us our lower self, and using that to, feel
to
us,
justify the way
to
they treat us.
justify the way they treat us, and to want us to just be addicted to, this lower
Ignorance.
nature,
Exactly.
over sexualization, aggression, masculinity, toxic masculinity, all these different things. So, I just kind of lost inspiration from that. I'm not saying I don't listen to rap or anything, but,
it's a different approach.
art, it heightens my mind every time I go. Like, that's the real inspiration. And, part of the reason I create this platform, because we really got to break that stigma so that we can increase our consciousness, as a people. With that, I want to kind of move into the marriage of art and business. I feel that artists are people that are very in tune with the right side of their brain. That creative flow, the creative energy, spirituality, and that is not necessarily a mind that is always strategizing and thinking about numbers and planning and different things of that nature. So the beauty is that there are people that just do think like that, and that's kind of what they specialize in. And then you have your artists that specialize in making you feel something. So the marriage of art and business, I think it's something that is beautiful. I'm just recently finding out about Pigment International, and I want you to kind of speak a bit more about what Pigment International is.
Okay, so Pigment International is actually an artist collective. So there's a Pigment International, the collective, and then there's also Pigment International, that's the foundation.
Okay.
So Pigment International, the collective that I am a part of, and some of the other top tier talent here in Chicago, some of the household
names.
Yeah, household
names.
names are part of Pigment. Pigment is a group that focuses on providing a platform for multicultural artists, so people of color, giving us a platform to showcase at the top tier of our game. So they allow us to be in some of the spaces that you wouldn't even think that black art could be in.
Yeah.
They break down those barriers and allow us to infiltrate and show people that our work is beautiful as well.
Yeah.
Like all art that's beautiful doesn't come from somebody fair skinned, or genius doesn't just come from fair skinned people.
Right.
So it allows us to kind of give, to put our stuff out there, but also push the agenda of there's fine art in the hood.
Yeah.
Or fine art on the east side, the west side. There's fine art everywhere. There's not just one person. There's not just one type of way to do it. There's multiple ways to express our experience. There's not just there's no uniform blackness. And that's the biggest thing that I can take from Pigment is that they allow us to be us.
Yeah.
So you got, eccentric artists, you got the reclusive artists, you got the people that's right in between, you got all types of personalities in it, all different age ranges. Like, it's beautiful. And what they have done so far for me is beyond things that I could even expect. Like, they took me to my first Basel. They got me exhibited in the Du Sable Museum. So many things that I can't even, like, I've been in spaces that I wouldn't even, buildings I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Like, I've shown at some nice venues, primarily off the platform of Pigment and the work that they put in to make sure that we're represented.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I appreciate Patricia, Phyllis, and Devora, and the whole Pigment team for believing in us in that way, because they're really putting in the work to make sure that we get out here.
That's amazing. Shout out to Pigment.
Absolutely.
Just hearing it explained, it kind of reminds me of like a record label.
Yes,
like
it's
a
like
Rock
Come to
Nation
Death
or
Row.
something.
Come to Death Row.
Come to Death
We
Row.
got Pac, we got Snoop.
Yeah.
We got everybody.
Yeah, that's powerful, and it's a good, for the people to know that exists. That to me is like the perfect marriage of art and business, and I think that's what helps the culture thrive and flourish. So that's amazing. I wanted you to touch on that 30 under 30 honoree thing. We got to hit the accolades to let people know.
True. Okay, so the 30 under 30 selection was actually a result of my manager, PR manager, Patricia Keenan. She submitted me to this gallery down in New York titled Viridian Artists down in Chelsea, which, if those who are watching don't know, Chelsea is like the business when it comes to showing artwork in New York. Like, if you showing in Chelsea, you consider like a top tier, at least in your field. Like, regardless young or not, if you showing in Chelsea, that's a big deal.
That's lit.
So, and when I found out that that's where it was, I was just like, bruh, like, for real? Like, I got selected. When she told me that, bro, and I'm not a screamer by no measure. This is probably the loudest I talk ever right now. Bro, I screamed to the top of my lungs and damn near did a spin and a split. And then when I got down there, just the way that they ingested my work, the way that New York felt me, because that was my first time going to New York as well. And I was by myself, so I was able to be to myself and really ingest it the way that I wanted to, and not have somebody force feed it down my throat. So just walking the streets of New York and just seeing how they interact with art and how they appreciate it differently, how people just, like, it's about art down there. And I was just like, bro, this is, I probably can't live here, but this is where my stuff belong. Like,
Yeah.
the way that, like, even at the exhibit, bro, like, the word that I kept hearing specifically about my piece, ironically, my piece was like right in the middle of the wall. Like, as soon as you walk in, it turns to the left, it's right in the middle of the wall. And it was one of the biggest pieces in there. So when people saw it, they were like, oh, and they didn't know it was me, because nobody knows me when I walk in the room, because I'm in a whole new city, which was beautiful because I got to see people's raw emotion to my work before they saw me and had that filter. Oh, he's black. That
Right.
type, So,
Right.
I'm seeing people taking pictures, doing like all this, and I'm like, hey, how you guys doing?
Right.
They're like, hey, how you doing? We're just checking out the piece. It's mine.
I'm the artist.
How you doing? I'm Blake Noir, B. Lynn, for short.
Oh, you're skinning.
Yeah. So they're like, oh my God, it's prolific, and that was the word I heard all night. They like the shading, the this, the that. You're just, oh my God, I can't believe my child is in here showing with you. I'm like, you shouldn't say that out loud.
Right.
Your kid right here. Like, we in the same age group damn near. Like hearing like all night, like this, if I knew that this was gonna be the response of this show, you would have won first place. Okay, thanks, I guess. So before that, she was like, no, it's just hearing you talk about it gave me a different feeling now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just taking away just that compliment from a respected curator, and just the reception that I received, like, I got offered to be in the Armory show,
Okay.
which I couldn't go back to because I couldn't afford getting back to New York. So I was like,
Okay.
I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm actually head back to Chicago with my win, with my W, and I'm gonna come back bigger than, like, way better than I came the first time. So that alone, I was like, bro, that let me know that I live by this statement: find your yes. Like, I tried walking through a million different doors to try to put myself where I'm at now. And they were like, no, not yet. No, not quite. And I found my door. And I walked through it as proud as I could and made it work. And I'm still, finding my yes now. So even with the trial and different stylizations, different processes, it was all about finding my yes, and it led up to that moment that let me know you are in the right place at the right time. This is your time.
Finding your yes. I love that, man. Okay, on that note, I want to get into some announcements. So, what you got coming up, brother?
All right, so first I got Basel coming up December 4th through the 8th. I'll be out there. I'll be showcasing at the Marquis Marriott lobby, which is the luxury residences right on Biscayne Boulevard, on 1100 Biscayne Boulevard, literally across from the American Airlines Center. I was supposed to have a solo exhibit there last year, so it's busting now. Like, I finally got the space. Me and my boy Edo doing a dual exhibit.
Dope.
And my exhibit will be titled Fabric of the Mind. So it's a look into the cross between the urban, Baroque, and futuristic aspect of fashion. So the protective duality, like the duality of protection and comfort and fashion all in one. So that's which is kind of, you got to get a glimpse of my man up there peeking over the top. Is one of them. Aside from that, I'm just working, man. I'm building my brand, getting ready for this baby coming.
Yeah.
So trying to be, the real Big Papa by the time the baby get here.
That's what's up, man. We didn't even get a chance to get into how much these pieces, man. I went on your website and I got a chance to see you're doing very well.
No, I appreciate it, brother. But just for the people watching my work, I will have prints coming out very soon, so they will be much more attainable. Like, you could spend it out your wallet, literally. Like, you could swipe it or hit me with a couple bucks. I'm gonna get some prints ready, and they're gonna be in all different types of sizes, so everything won't be this damn big. I know everybody don't have a wall this big in their crib, so imagine him cut in half twice. Imagine these kids cut in half twice, and that, I'm building.
Okay.
I want to make sure I get I want everybody to be able to grab my work. I want y'all to all partake in this conversational healing, and I want us all to progress as a people. So thank you, and I appreciate you, brother.
No doubt. Also, just want to, speak. We'll actually be out in Art Basel as well. Art Basel, for those of you who don't know, it's like one of the biggest art conventions around the world. It's a very honor, to be in the show. So, Art for Evolution will be down there networking, podcasting, getting a lot of recaps. I'm sure, me and him will be together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, definitely look forward to that. We want to get into social media. So, where can the people find you, get in contact with you?
Get me at Blen Artistry, BLEN Artistry on Instagram. Also, Blen Artistry on Facebook. You can find my business page. And you can find me at blenartistry.com. Thank you.
Okay. And as far as the platform, it's Art for Evolution Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. Also, Art for Evolution Podcast at Gmail if you want to contact us direct. Thank you again for watching the show. Thank you for stepping on the platform, Blen.
It's love, brother.
Thank you,
Anytime.
man. Thank you. Peace.